Hi everyone, my name is Mpai Meho Motete. I'm a trauma informed life coach, and today I'm going to tell you about my critical dad. He's late now. He was a very critical parent, and I'm going to share with you how that affected me in life and in romantic relationships, in motherhood, because I'm a mom of one 13-year-old boy. Okay, here we go. My dad, but I'm sure most of South African, most especially like people of color, can resonate with this. I don't know. It's just an assumption. Our parent, well, my dad. Let me not generalize and give you guys my problems or my trauma. My dad was critical in a sense, like whenever, for example, this is one of the examples that he was critical on in whatever. I'd get, for example, 60% in a test or an exam, and whenever I showed him the result, he would ask me like, "Where's the other 40? What happened to the other 40?" Instead of congratulating me on the 60% that I got, you know. He was always criticizing everything that I did. I remember, like, even when I washed the dishes or whenever I cleaned, he'd be like, "It doesn't look like anybody cleaned the house." Oh, and that one affected me in a way that I remember, like, I used to, like, I'd sweep the floor, and then instead of putting all of that garbage and dust in a dustpan, I'd just leave it there so that when he came home, he'd actually, like, it was sort of evidence, me leaving evidence to see that this is the dust and the garbage from me sweeping the house. And I still do it sometimes, because it just became a part of me. Sometimes after cleaning, after sweeping, I do not put everything in a dustpan, and I know it's a trauma response, and it came from my dad. And yes, he was just that sort of person. He's late now. I've forgiven him, but I just wanted to share how the things that he did as a critical father and as an emotionally absent father affected me. He would also look at things that I didn't do, instead of praising me and appreciating the effort that I put in and all the things that I did do, you know. Sometimes when he arrived, say maybe I just washed the dishes and did some of the chores that I was supposed to do instead of doing all of them, He would ask about the ones that I didn't do, instead of praising me for the ones that I already did, you know. And it affected me because even in my romantic relationships, right, I would look at the things that my partner didn't do. And mind you, it's one of the things that I resented the most about my dad. But in as much as I resented them, I ended up becoming exactly like him. I ended up becoming my father's daughter. And I also used to love driving. So I'd ask him if, like, "Papa, can I please drive your cars?" And he'd be like, "No, the only time you're going to drive my cars is if you obtain a driver's license." And I obtained it. And I remember I was so excited thinking, yay, now I'm going to be able to drive my dad's car, you know. I remember after obtaining it, like I went to him and I'm like, Daddy, here's my driver's license. And the only thing that he said was like, girl, you didn't do that for me. You did it for yourself. It's gonna benefit you. Like, nigga, what? So yeah, that is the kind of father that my dad was. And how it affected me. I remember like the last relationship that I was in, which was like 2 years ago. On my birthday, like the guy was he was a great guy. So I remember like on my birthday, this other one time, he bought me an 8 wig inch, right? And instead of saying thank you, instead of appreciating the effort, the time, the money that he spent on the gift, I was like, no, my guy, like, what am I going to do with an 8 inch wig? Why didn't you give me a 12, 16, 18 inch wig, you know, like. And mind you, by the time I was critical, I wasn't aware of it, you know. I only became aware once I started meditating and going on this healing journey, you know. So that is the kind of partner that I was. And I remember like we're staying together with the guy, and whenever he made up the bed, instead of appreciating the effort that he put into making the bed, I'd get so upset at him that he didn't do it the way that I preferred for him to do it. Sorry about that. Where was I? Motherly duties. So I got so upset at him over how he made the bed instead of appreciating all the effort that he put in making the bed, right? And I was also critical towards my son, you know. I remember because we were staying together, my son, my ex, and I. Sometimes my son would usually get home before me, right? I remember like the first thing that I would ask him immediately when I came through the door, okay, I'll just say hi. And instead of saying, how are you? How was your day? How was school? The first thing that I would ask is like, did you polish your school shoes? Did you wash the dishes? You know, like ask him about the chores that he was supposed to do. And if he hadn't done them, then I'd get so upset and make it all about me, you know, not considering the fact that he might be tired, because at the end of the day, he's human. He also goes through things at school that sometimes I have no idea about, because how would I know? Because I don't even ask him how his day was, what happened at school, and all of that. Because as parents, sometimes we have this tendency of thinking that our kids are okay just because they're kids, that we go through so much more than they do. You know, our stress levels are higher than theirs, and because they're kids, they don't have to worry about they don't have to worry about anything, about paying bills and whatnot. But the fact that they're human, they also go through things which are valid, you know. The fact that they don't have to pay bills doesn't invalidate their stress or all the things that they go through in life, you know. And yeah, I would make it all about me and give him the silent treatment, not talk to him. And yeah, I was such a terrible mom at that time, you know. And I've been working on myself actively for the past 2 years, you know. Yeah, this journey has been it's not easy. It's not easy at all, but nobody's coming to save me, you know. I might have people around me that are giving me support, but then they cannot actually do the work for me, you know. And some days are better than others, you know. And there are those days when I think that I've actually overcome something and like it just comes back, like I get triggered by the exact same thing. I'm like, what the actual fuck is going on? Like, I thought I had healed from this thing. Why am I still being triggered from this thing? Because sometimes I spend a lot of my time alone, you know. So sometimes I'm not really sure if I've healed from something or I'm just in isolation where I cannot be triggered, you know? And yeah, it is what it is. It do what it does. But let me just blow my nose quickly. I'm done blowing my nose. So yes, those are some of the ways that my dad's emotional unavailability and criticism affected me as a person, you know. And I'll make a whole other video about how his emotional absence affected me. But as I had already said, I've forgiven him, you know, because it's part of the healing process, you know, like holding on to burdens, emotional burdens, is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die from it. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes we have to forgive instead of waiting for an apology that's never going to come, you know, because healing takes the emotional burden off of you, you know. So I remember last year on the 1st of January, I went to the graveyard and I went to the cemetery, I went to his grave, and I actually told him, I vented and I told him that, dude, like, you did a number on me, you know? And I think it's one of the things that helped me to forgive him, you know? And also understanding that we cannot hold people accountable for that that they are oblivious to, you know? So I had to forgive him because he did the best he could, the only way he knew how. And I had to acknowledge that and let it all go and do the work, you know? Because trauma is not your fault, but healing is your responsibility, you know. And I took it upon me to do the work. And it's been like a year and 7 months now. And as I said, some days are better than others. Like it's just a roller coaster, but you have to do it because once you see it, you cannot unsee it, you know. So sometimes I just wish I could like throw the towel and be like, this is too much. I cannot do this. But the fact that now I'm self-aware of these toxic traits or patterns, I have no choice but to do better, to choose better. Because if I choose something that I know that is wrong, I feel guilty. It eats me because I know what the right thing was, but then it was just easier for me like to do the wrong thing. But it eats me alive, you know. So yes, I'm rambling now, but tell me if you can resonate with this. Most especially like people of color, because I know we're the ones that went through the most, and at some point we were like, like counseling and therapy is for white people, but we're the ones that actually needed the more. We needed more than them. And yeah, it is what it is. It do what it does. Just tell me if you can resonate with this, and what are the other things the other traumas that you went through, and how it affected you, and how it's still affecting you, and what you are doing to actually overcome it and become a better person, like to break the generational curses. All right, lovies. Thank you so much for watching. Please drop a heart if you watched until the end. And I wish you light, love, and healing. Bye.